Hey, if you're over 60, I want to ask you something. Have you ever stopped to think if your diet, the food you eat every single day, could actually be doing more harm than good? Today, we're going to dive into 3 really common diet mistakes that might be silently damaging your health. But, and this is the important part, it's never too late to make a change. So let's jump right in. I want you to really think about this question. Are the foods you're eating every day, the ones that seem perfectly harmless, are they secretly putting your health on the line? It's a scary thought, but the answer? Well, it just might surprise you. Okay, let's paint a picture here. Imagine you're in the emergency room with chest pain. It's a terrifying moment, right? And one of the very first things the doctor is probably going to ask you is this simple question. What's the last thing that you ate? It seems so basic, but that one little answer can tell them almost everything they need to know. And get this, if your answer to that doctor is fried chicken, there is an over 80% chance you're having a heart attack. Wow, just let that sink in for a second. An 80% chance. So what on earth is it about fried foods that's so incredibly dangerous? Well, that leads us right into the first big mistake. So this brings us to mistake number 1. We're going to call this one the rusty toxin, and it is all about the hidden danger that's just lurking in heated oils, especially those common vegetable oils that so many of us use without a second thought. So what's actually happening here? Well, the problem is a chemical process called oxidation. When you heat up vegetable oils, they oxidize. And the absolute easiest way to picture this is to think about a brand new shiny nail. If you leave that nail out in the rain, what happens? It gets rusty, brittle, and weak. That exact same rusting process can happen inside your body. And here's what that rusting looks like on the inside. When you eat those oxidized oils, they get into your bloodstream and they start damaging your cholesterol and your proteins. On the left, you see a healthy artery. It's smooth, it's clear, but look at the right. That's an artery after years of oxidation. It's clogged up with plaque. It's just like rust building up and blocking an old pipe. And here's the really sneaky part. This doesn't happen overnight. Oh, no. It is a slow, silent process. For the first 10, 20, even 30 years, that plaque is just quietly building up. You don't feel a single thing. It's only after decades of this silent damage, when the artery is about 70% blocked, that you finally start to get symptoms like shortness of breath or chest pain. Now, let's move on to the second mistake, which works in a very similar, sneaky way. All right, mistake number 2 is what we'll call the sticky toxin. And yeah, we're talking about refined sugars, but it goes way deeper than just candy and pop. This is about the hidden stuff. To really get what this damage feels like, just imagine for a second that you spilled a sugary juice all over your computer keyboard. You know what would happen, right? The keys would get all sticky, they wouldn't work right. Well, that is literally what's happening inside your body, on a microscopic level. All that extra sugar starts latching onto proteins, making them sticky and basically useless. The scientific name for it is glycation. Now, of course, we all know that soda and desserts are loaded with sugar, but the real culprits, the ones that sneak up on you, are often hidden. There's a story about a doctor who was totally stumped. He was seeing all these Korean ladies in their 60s who had diabetes, but they weren't eating a typical sugary Western diet. The cause? White rice and white flour. See, these foods have had all their fibers stripped away, so when you eat them, they hit your bloodstream like a pure shot of sugar. So how can we actually measure this internal stickiness? Well, the best way is with a blood test called hemoglobin A1C. And let me tell you, this test is one of the most powerful predictors we have, not just for your lifespan, but for your health span. That's the number of healthy, vibrant years you have ahead of you. The magic number, the goal for a long and healthy life, is 5.0. To give you some context, a diabetes diagnosis usually happens at 6.0 or higher. And this really shows you why just one simple switch can make such a massive difference. White rice with no fiber causes this huge, sharp spike in your blood sugar. But whole grains, they still have their fiber. That fiber acts like a sponge, slowing everything down, giving you stable energy without that dangerous, sticky side effect. And that brings us to our third and final mistake, the slow buildup. Now, this one isn't about cutting out saturated fat completely. It's about understanding the problem with having too much of it, especially as we get older. Take a look at these numbers. They're pretty sobering. The average age for a man's first heart attack is 61. For women, it's 71. These aren't just abstract statistics.
This is the reality for our age group. That slow buildup of plaque from the first two mistakes, the rust and the stickiness, is what sets the stage for this to happen.
So here's the crucial point. If you already have some of that rust and stickiness going on in your arteries, then eating too much saturated fat is like throwing gasoline on a fire. It just accelerates that dangerous plaque buildup year after year after year. So the key here isn't elimination, it's moderation. Okay, we've gone through the three big mistakes, and I know it can sound a little scary, but this isn't about fear. It's about empowerment. It's about knowing what's going on so you can do something about it. So now let's talk about the simple, powerful steps you can take to reclaim your health and add vibrant, healthy years to your life. Here it is, your action plan. And it's actually pretty simple. Number 1, avoid those heated vegetable oils. Just get in the habit of checking the ingredient list on everything. Number 2, eliminate added sugars, which means reading labels to find those hidden sources, like white flour. And number 3, reduce your saturated fat. Aim for moderation, maybe just 2 or 3 times a week. That's it. And the reward for making these simple changes, it's huge. We're not just talking about adding a few years to your life. We're talking about adding 10 to 20 years of high-quality life, your health span. That's more time with your family, more time for your hobbies, more time to just live. So, I'm going to leave you with this final thought. You now have the knowledge. The power is completely in your hands. The only real question left is, what's the first ingredient list you're going to check today?